Hello, it's a wonderful afternoon in Cagayan de Oro City. Today is 18th of January 2017, the very first episode of Talakayan sa Limketkai Luxe for this year. Our episode today is brought to you by Philippine Information Agency in partnership with Limketkai Luxe Hotel through the support of Parasat Cable TV. I am Jam Rukat, and joining us today is none other than the General Manager of Limketkai Luxe Hotel, Mr. Jerome de la Fuente. Good afternoon, Jerome.
Good afternoon, Jam. It's a wonderful day today, actually, here in Cagayan. The sun is up. And to all our viewers and bloggers, welcome. We are seen here in Cagayan de Oro through Parasat Cable TV and the region-wide via cable stations and even throughout the world. See us in the U.S. now. You're seeing us in the U.S. As first guest for this year, we are honored to have the Technical Director for the Department of Labor and Employment, Region 10, Mr. Athenaeus Vasallo, to discuss with us the updates on my favorite topic called Endo. The Endo. Welcome. What has been the updates of the Endo for the last time that I met with you?
First, Jerome, good afternoon, and of course, Jam, and to all your televiewers, our televiewers, good afternoon. And first, in behalf of our Regional Director, Director Ray Agravante, we are expressing our appreciation for inviting us over. So, about Endo.
We love to hear from you.
The very favorite topic.
The favorite, one of my favorite topics in the city.
Okay, you know, this issue actually arose when President Duterte, during his campaign, and of course, during his administration, present administration, is very consistent in pronouncing that his administration will end contractualization. But later, of course, we found we are now hearing about Endo, about contracting and subcontracting arrangement. So, yes, Endo, as a matter of rule under the Labor Code, is actually prohibited since the start of our Labor Code in 1974. So, the President now, and of course through our Secretary of Labor, Secretary Silvestre Bello, is again reiterating, instructing all regional offices to strictly enforce the security of tenure provision of the Labor Code. So the department, our regional office now, is fast-tracking assessment so that we will be correcting this violation on security of tenure. Now, of course, we have the other issue about contracting and subcontracting arrangement. There are some provisions that is being violated by companies. They are practicing labor-only contracting. I think that will be one of our discussion because as of now, the guidelines prevailing is still Department Order 18-A, and the central office, the top management of the Department of Labor is still discussing with stakeholders to come up with a new guidelines on contracting and subcontracting arrangement. The timeline actually was from July to October, but then, you know, major guidelines, major policy of the department is always given to subject to a tripartite consultation, meaning coming from the management, coming from the workers. And after October, it was extended to December. Now we are now January 18, and they are still discussing. I believe there are minutes at stake here. Contracting and subcontracting arrangement has become a convenient arrangement actually in employment processes. Instead of hiring directly, some companies or many companies actually in the region are outsourcing, meaning instead of hiring directly, they get a manpower or service provider for them to do the operation. And that is now questioned by some sector, especially the workers sector. And the department has to comprehensively study so that they will come up with a guideline that will resolve this issue. And all parties, workers, of course, management, will be happy.
So prepared a PowerPoint for us. For those who are not clarified with what is Endo, end of contractualization, and the department orders that Dole abides in its implementation. So can we go through the PowerPoint?
Yes, as I have said, in a contracting and subcontracting arrangement, the management, instead of hiring directly, will engage a manpower service provider for them to provide him people to do the work. Now, in this kind of relationship, there is a trilateral relationship. Between the agency and the principal or the company, there is a service contract. So the principal will ask a service or manpower provider to provide him the service or the manpower to do the work. Now, between the contractor and the employees hired, there is employment contract. So in this case, the contractual worker and the principal, there is actually no relationship. Unless there is a violation of the labor standards, then the principal and the contractor or subcontractor will be solidarily liable to the claim of the worker. So trilateral relationship.
Well, you know, here in Cagayan de Oro, for instance, there's quite a number of contracting, as I mentioned to you in the past. You know, there's two big department stores right here along the highway. They, at 5 months, they interchange the whole staff. How do we circumvent? Because this is like 555, right? So, again, the reason for this, there's no investments coming in. It all boils down to opportunities for the people to work. So, at the end of the day, it's what you call kapit sa patalim because there's no work. How can you police this?
Yes, that is a typical violation, circumvention of the security of tenure. So normally that is called 555 or 666, 5 months after the expiration of the employment contract of 5 months, then the worker is terminated and of course the worker transferred to another establishment for work. That is a circumvention actually of the security of tenure, and the regional office is instructed by the Secretary of Labor is actually directing us to correct this one by first appealing to the employers to voluntarily comply with the security of tenure. That is the first. And we are very happy from September to December actually. We conducted assessment to more or less 720 establishments. And there are indications of Endo or observations of Endo by our labor laws compliance officers or inspectors. There are around 520 establishments who have practiced Endo, end of contract or labor only contracting. And we are very fortunate that our establishments are very cooperative. We are given 50% target or performance to correct this kind of violation. So as of December 31, we were able to achieve 52%, meaning corrected, meaning they have complied the security of tenure, they have corrected the labor-only contracting practices which is prohibited by law. That includes the one you mentioned, that kind of arrangement, 555 and 666. So we have 52% achievement, and yes, as shown in our screen, we have 729 establishments assessed, and we have companies with violation around 454 and 275 who are voluntarily complying. So yes, we are moving heaven and earth to correct that one, because that is the pronouncement of, actually, I believe, the intention of the President to end contractualization, actually to protect the security of tenure of the workers. So in Region 10, we are on track. 52% is already corrected.
But my question again comes back. Let's say I am the employee. I work for X department store. After 5 months, I'll be moved to another. I still have a tenure. I'm protected, right, by that agency who hires me. So is there a violation there?
No, there is no violation as long as the agency is still the one contracting the other establishment. Because as I have said earlier, the employment actually agreement is between the contractor and or the provider and the contractual worker, so that if the service agreement of the contractor with the company ends, meaning the number of workers required by the company is up to 5 months only, the agency is actually required by law to find another posting to the workers affected. So that if we transfer the worker to another service agreement, to another establishment, there is no termination of employment. Continuous ang employment niya with the agency. So that's the one.
Let's say, for instance, in the hotel, quite a number of hotels here go through an agency. The agency is a local company here who just collects the CD, gives it to the hotel, and then from the hotel, they're practically run by the hotel. And there is no supervisor from the other side, meaning the provider of the services has no HR department. Like in our case, we have both our supplier, our provider, and our hotel in one department, and they process the papers together.
Well, that is a very another example of labor-only contracting, which is prohibited by law. To determine employer-employee relationship, there are 4 elements. First, one who hires, that is employer, payment of salary. One who pays the salary is your employer. The one who can terminate or impose penalty, that is your employer. The 4th and the most important element is the control and supervision. So whoever controls the worker, whoever supervises the performance of work of the worker is the employer. So in that case, if there is absence of control and supervision by the agency over its workers, then there can be an observation, there can be an element of labor-only contracting. Now, if proven, these workers actually will be considered as direct employees of the principal. So that will be a violation.
But the supply, the principal, the agency has also supervisors in their payroll supervising the lower ranks. So where is the violation there?
Has to be a substantial showing that there is control and supervision. Even if there is an assignment, which is normally the case, the agency would put there in their structure a person who should control and supervise. But in actual work, if the worker, in many cases during our assessment, the worker would say that they are being given instruction by the supervisor of the principal or the hotel in that case, then, as I have said, there can be an observation that there is presence of labor-only contracting. But of course, the department exercise quasi-judicial authority, meaning if there are violations, it undergoes due process. You have to call, of course, the employer to shed light whether, in fact, there is control and supervision by the principal over the workers of the agency.
But that's the whole the whole hotel industry is like this, including Manila. So how will the Dole police this now?
Well, we will appreciate if you give us names so that we can conduct assessment. Yes. Yes.
We belong to one company provider that is practically handling all the 4 and 5 stars only. It does not go beyond 3-star, 2-star. So that's the whole hotel industry. How are you going to police this?
Well, in region,
it already has sat down. As a matter of fact, among the HRD managers of the hotel industry sat down already together with the Dole, and nothing happened.
Well, in Region 10, actually, when the pronouncement or when the directive was given to us to assess Endo, labor-only contracting, we actually did not automatically implement the enforcement or regulatory function, but we come up with a consultation, with a tour in every province and call all providers and some principals and explain the law. As I have said, control and supervision is the most important element in determining employer-employee relationship, so that before we, at later month last year, when we conducted assessment, we already educated the manpower providers, the service providers, the principal who are engaging contracting and subcontracting arrangement, and told them that this is the law, so that when we conduct assessment, the prohibited practice should now be corrected so that there will be no violation. And as I have said, we were able to reach 3,800 workers who are considered protected of their security of tenure, meaning the workers now are not subject to 555 or 666. now the agency have now assigned supervisors in their respective service or in their respective contract. So that was one of the instruction by our regional director, Director Ray Agravante, to educate first the establishments so that these prohibited practices will be corrected. And hopefully, during the conduct of this assessment, wala na tayo makita na mga ayun.
The hotel industry is a different structure. We do not follow department stores. If you look at the hotel industry, before we go, let's backtrack a little. Because this problem would have not arisen if it was not given clearance before by a president. Now, why was this so? You know for the fact when I entered the hotel industry in 1979, there was no such thing as agency. We will all have to be an employee of the hotel. But because of the activistic issues that we had problems, rallies here and there, we had to slow down. But I left the country in 88. When I came back last year, 2015, there was already agency. Now, my question now is, how did this come about? Because it's practically like getting us, parang sa Tagalog, kumuha ka ng bato, ipinukol mo sa ulo mo with the granting of these agencies. Now, it is so big that it's going to be very hard for Dole just to wipe it out, which president agreed on this? I know the president, but I want it to come from you.
Yeah. I think the contracting and subcontracting arrangement actually is not only being done in the Philippines, but throughout the world. In Japan, of course, US, instead of hiring directly, they find or they engage a contractor. Now, the intention actually of the contracting and subcontracting arrangement is actually good for business, and I think also good for the workers. The purpose is that the establishment or the principal will find an agency or manpower provider who can contribute to the productivity, to the improvement of operation. So, let's say, for example, an agency who is specialized in packaging. So, a company who needs that kind of service will engage that agency to improve his operation. That is the main purpose. Say, for example, utilities. So, you find an agency na engaged into services, utilities, who can clean your facilities more efficient. And the workers engaged by that agency, efficient agency, will be secure, ensure of employment because hahanapin niya ng mga principal or employers. The problem now in the Philippine setting or condition is that there are some agencies whose intention is only to earn money, income, so that, yes, as you have told Jerome, they will provide people to the company, then just leave them there. Then collect every 15-30 their admin fees. So that was part of the problem, the implementation of the contracting and subcontracting arrangement. And hopefully, these new guidelines which our central office is again presenting to the sectors for, of course, consultation, comment, then hopefully we can come up with a better provision. First, of course, the mandate of the department is for the protection of workers. That guidelines that will protect the security of tenure of the workers, their privileges, and of course, help also management in running their business. So we will see. I think by this month, if the department will be able to sign the new guidelines on contracting and subcontracting arrangement.
Why don't we have a two-pronged attack? Meaning you attack the agencies who are malpracticing it, and at the same time,
those who are compliant.
I think that it's a wrong word that I'm using. It's just that gather all the agencies that provide manpower and sort them out first. Meaning, what do you do? As against also running, like the hotel industry is a very small. We all compare each other. As a matter of fact, there was a meeting called in Manila that I attended because we wanted to see what their practice, the best practices. All of us have different. The Manila hotels, Manila-based hotels are different from provincial hotels. Now, come about with this meeting also was the discussion on payroll because there was a time an issue came up that I don't know who suggested it, that the payroll or the per day will be the same as Manila. And I said that's going to be suicide. Because because at the end of the day, like for instance, we will have to pass it on to the consumer. And the consumer cannot afford to pay this. So there goes our business too. So we either close the hotel or continue the hotel. That's the only thing. Because Manila is 512. Provincial is 318. That's a big gap. Right now, we're the highest in average rate in the city. We're running an average rate of 3,600. So if that 512 is implemented, I will make sure the lowest rate is 4.2. That includes the government rate. So it's too hard, you know. But maybe because we need to work on this, at least in Limketkai Luxe Hotel, we are assuring you that the staff is going to have a continuous. Because whatever we get, the hotel, the organic, I make sure that the agency people have. Kung kumain kami ng dilis ka rin. Plus we have incentive. Whatever the hotel staff gets, the agency staff also gets the same. That is no differentiation. Even to our security. So I make sure it's a fair square. But of course, I'm not speaking on behalf of the hotel industry here in Cagayan de Oro. This is the way I manage our hotel. Now, I don't know what is the outcome because there is no guidelines yet, and hopefully by this month we will get something out, and then we can roll out another campaign saying this is the final guideline, and we start policing our ranks. But one of the things I suggest you also have to do is to meet up with Kohara, because they have some hotels who also get agencies based in Cagayan de Oro. I think there's only 2 of us hotels here that are getting from Manila, and this is Seda and us. And you know, I've given you who the name of the agency is that we're all handling. This agency handles the best hotels in the Philippines.
Okay, and the proposal is welcome. And in fact, Kohara is very active with our Industry Tripartite Council, and we have discussed this one, and Kohara is cooperating also. Maybe we have not yet talked for this year, and in fact, last quarter, I think we have to talk with Kohara again, or the Industry Tripartite Council of the hotel and restaurant industry, to talk about this, I think, condition. Because, yes, as I have learned, the hotel and restaurants are actually, most of the hotel and restaurants in Cagayan de Oro or the region is engaging manpower or service provider in their operation. So that will be, we will be lining that up in our activity. We will be calling Kohara again for the Industry Tripartite Council before the guidelines will be signed, because I think the central office is still soliciting proposals or comments on how to come up with a very amenable guidelines. So, yes.
Yeah, but you know, also, it's not only the hotel industry, it's usually the manufacturing who started this. But in the government, there is also something like this, right? You know, let's be frank. Yes, now the focus of Dole is to us in the private sector. Let's just trace what happened. Well, of course, again, there was a president at that time who agreed to implement this. But even before these presidents came about, the government has already some issues with regards to hiring. Because if you're not assessor or a civil
career
eligible, ayan, contractual ka rin for the rest of your life. And that's very common in government offices. So how does the Dole do something about it? I mean, I don't know whether this is Dole or Malacanang, whoever, but this is the same issue. I mean, yes, now we're being highlighted, the government sector. I mean, the private sector. Let's throw it back to them. What is the government doing about the government of employees? I can be employed in, I know of one department that has contractual and she's been working there 25 years. Now, how can you tell me this is gonna be fun?
Okay, Jerome.
This is my last question to you.
No, you know, I thought you are telling us that our regional office is no. Actually, the regional office is also a culprit to this because we have job orders actually assigned to us by the through an agency, around 40, and they are performing work that is directly related, that is necessary and desirable to the main services of the Department of Labor, Regional Office number 10. But then the Department Order 18-A on contracting and subcontracting arrangement actually covers only the private sector. Now, yes, I have to ask the department or the agency, we have to ask the department or agency mandated to ensure compliance in the government sector, which is, I believe, the Civil Service Commission. But I was asked that kind of question during one of our consultation. They said, what is the difference between contracting and subcontracting of the private sector and the government sector? So I told them that in the private sector, the purpose of the service agreement is for profit. So now in the government, when we hire a worker through an agency, the purpose is for service. So profit and service. So I think there's a big difference, but no, this is just my idea. As I have said, this kind of situation in the government setting is not under our mandate, but with other Civil Service Commission.
No, as you've been working there for 25 years, come on.
I mean, you have to ask
eligible
yourself.
Na yan. Eligible na yan.
There's an exam before you can be eligible. That's why
Kaya nga.
people sometimes go through the exam and if they don't pass.
Oh, so what happens to them? They join the ranks of the jobless.
No, that's the
Mandate.
minimum requirement of the government. If you pass that
Yeah, but
exam.
my question is, if you've been with a government institution for 25 years, siguro naman may brains ka, right? Unless you're clerical na messenger o kaya janitor. Hindi mo naman kailangan ng civil eligibility, maglilinis lang ako ng toilet. I mean, let's be practical. Even in the hotel industry, I have 4-year degree college graduates here from exclusive schools in Cagayan de Oro. 16 toilets they have to clean. So it's mismatched. So this is why it's nice to have this issue on Endo, but there are things we have to consider. Iba what's happening in Manila, iba ang provincial area, iba yung requirements dito. Hindi sila laging pareho. So what we do. Kasi at the end of the day, yung mismatching na yan will lead to problems leading to Endo. I mean, magko-contractual na siya kasi wala siyang mahanap na regular item. Jan, you're from the government.
Right. I understand the government situation, but precisely we are under also the mandate of the Civil Service Commission, so who can explain more, but
You should have invited them.
next we will have a separate discussion with them. No problem with that.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of issues already. Of course, there will be questions later on, and I will sharpen my pencils again to see what questions we can ask from them. We only do this because we want to ensure the public that everybody understands what Endo is all about. It is not just to castigate anybody in the government, but it's just to make people aware there is such situation happening in the Philippines. And according to the director, there were projects in the past that has been done in Japan, in Singapore. In Singapore, I am on a contract basis. I'm a permanent resident of Singapore. I'm on a contract, and but I do have continuous employment. Even when I retired at 55, the government said, no, you will still have to be on a 1-year contract. Unlike before, it's an open-dated contract. When I retired at 55, they said, you will be on a 1-year contract. No, that's automatic renew. It's up to me to renew. Not the other way around. I mean, it's amicable also. Jam, anything else?
All right. Implementation of the Department Order 18A. So basically, our direction is to end contractualization. How far are we to that direction?
Again, as I have said, the performance of the regional office last year was the target was 50% of those violations will be corrected, and we reached 52%. Now, the remaining assessment that has indication on labor only contracting and Endo should be corrected 100% by this year, as again instructed by the Secretary of Labor. There is an early department order. The first track actually of the implementation of the Department of Labor to end of contract and labor only contracting is first strict enforcement of existing laws. So we have instructed all labor laws compliance officers, the labor inspector. They are now called compliance officers, so that because supposedly when after visiting the establishment, when they get out, the standards, the labor standards should have been complied, meaning they should help the establishment, not only labor standards but also the security of tenure and all other labor standards, and of course Department Order is 18-C, strict enforcement. And the central office, the second track is the revision of Department Order 18-C, which is now being done by the central office. The third track is the amendment of the labor code, which is under the scope of the legislative body, which the department has to control. So yung dalawang track lang, yung strict enforcement and the revision of the Department Order 18-A. Under my division actually are the labor laws compliance officers, and I have instructed them during our meeting that they have to prioritize determination whether there is end of contract and labor on the contracting. And if there is, then report to our office so that we call their attention through a mandatory conference or hearing so that it will be corrected, it will be voluntarily complied. Hopefully, we do not have to issue a compliance order of regularization because the company will be put in a very odd situation wherein the regular worker is being imposed to them. They are being dictated upon to whoever will be regularized, so that the process of selection will be circumvented, or not circumvented, but I think imposed upon by the company. So as I've said earlier, we are still trying to appeal to all employers to eliminate circumvention of laws on security of tenure.
Complaining, and at the end turns around and said, no, I have no complaint. Or is there companies here in Cagayan de Oro, or even in Region 10 for that matter, who violates this? I mean, meaning they hire somebody after 5 months, kick you out, and bahala ka na. Is there such?
I will mention the name because they have corrected and they voluntarily comply with the security of tenure. For example, the BIBASI, the Bagong Buhay Arastre of the Philippine Center, they have outsourced their arastre and stevedoring, and they have around, if I'm not, around 80 workers who are subjected to end of contract, meaning every year or every 6 months they are being renewed. Now, during our conduct of mandatory conference, they have pledged, they have actually voluntarily complied the regularization of their workers. But of course, they appealed to us that they will have to be subjected to their ordinary hiring process, selection process, and those who will not be given appointment as regular, they will have to pay separation pay. And yes, there are some workers who came to our office and objected they would rather be a contractual worker, an Endo, rather than be separated from office. But again, we have to implement the law, and whoever will not be regularized by the agency will be terminated and will be given separation pay.
But isn't that normal here? You get separation pay in this part of the world?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Never. Under Department Order 18-A, there is actually protection provision there for the security of tenure, meaning when the service agreement between the principal and the agency terminates or ends, it is now the option, like for example, 1 year ang service agreement. It is now the option of the worker whether to claim separation pay or wait for another posting. So it is actually the option of the worker. So that during some of our consultations with the manpower, I always kept on telling them that part of the costing of the service agreement should be the separation pay provision, so that they will not be placed in a situation wherein they will have to pay because it is mandated by Department Order 18-A, and they will get it from their admin cost. No, it will diminish their, of course, profit. So that should be part of the costing of the service agreement between the agency and the principal.
What about like seasonal business? Let's say in department stores during the peak period, let's say Christmas, what happens to, we cannot just, let's say I was a department store, I cannot get regulars just to gift wrap. And after the Christmas season or the holiday season, there is nothing to gift wrap. I will wrap them up. So how, how do we...
Kasi the law allows actually seasonal workers or on-call workers. Like in the department store, as mentioned, during Christmas, for 1 month. That is allowed. We have a fixed term employment or a seasonal employment. Yes. But there are some cases, you hire the worker, a seasonal worker for 2 months for Christmas season. Then comes graduation, another seasonal worker. Then comes fiesta, another seasonal worker. December seasonal. Then there is a continuous hiring. So that under the law, the worker actually becomes necessary and desirable, so that when that worker has been engaged for the past 3 years for this many seasonal period, it can now be determined that his presence is necessary and desirable. 13th month pay. Okay, the 13th month pay provision actually states that if a worker or person is able to work or provide service for at least 1 month, then he is now entitled to a proportionate 13th month pay. Proportionate 13th month pay. So if he is being engaged for 2 months, then upon termination of employment, actually, the 13th month pay should have been released after termination of employment.
Doesn't have to wait for...
Oh, no, up to December, no. Upon termination of employment, all benefits entitlement of the worker should be released, including 13th month pay.
This is a case here in the hotel industry. A lot of them are students. Now, we have functions. All of us have functions. Kulang kami sa tao sa waiter, magwe-waiter. Now, I'm talking Tagalog because we are covered until region. The whole of the region. In Lanao del Norte and Lanao del Sur, they talk Tagalog. So now I'm going to talk Tagalog. Ngayon, nag-hire kami on past, kasi malaki ang business. So what we do is we hire. But hindi siya continuous because he goes to school. Next function niya probably is another week. But at the end of the day, at the end of year 2016, I have to pay 13 months.
Yes, you have to pay. As long as upon tacking all the services rendered, it is more than 1 month, then he's entitled to the 13th month pay. And I would like to make mention.
I think that has to be made clear because not everybody understands except that I can run to your office anytime I have questions. I have an open line with you, so I'm okay. I don't violate it. I'm surely there are a lot of violators here.
Yes, the on-call as being practiced by the hotel and restaurants, you have to be careful also because an on-call worker whose employment has continued hiring has become a regular. Then there can be a case. I'm not saying automatic regulars. There can be a case for complaint on security of tenure if the necessarability, the desirability of the services is established because of continuous hiring. Then there can be an issue on security of tenure. But as I have said, on-call service is allowed by law. It's allowed by law.
I think I've answered. He has answered all what I want.
All right. So now we open our floor to questions from the media, even the bloggers who are here. So remind those who ask their question to state their name and the outlet they represent. So first question will come from
Cheryl.
But I know this person, so you don't have to introduce your name. I will introduce you. Cheryl Macale of RPN.
A columnist of Business Week in Cagayan Times. But anyway, seryoso to na question na. I have spoken to a lot of people and they've actually come to my office and the attention goes with their complaint that there is no security of tenure because some of the companies will drop them like a hat. Considering that they have families to feed by the 5-month period, they actually have no work or job. But then with this Endo now, we've seen a great and bright future for these people now that are asking for the regularity. But the thing is, there's also a problem for those newly grads that's going to come in and find for a job. So the number one problem in the Philippines is unemployment. How do you regulate this and help those that are in need of jobs and those that we secure for those that are on contracts, but those that have jobless, it's because the Endo is already here, and for those seeking for a job, what is the security for Dole for this?
Yes, thank you, Cheryl, for that question. Actually, the department now is in a dilemma because part of our program also is the facilitation of employment. Now, with this directive to ensure that Endo is eliminated, of course, the turnover of employment is lesser. Kasi wala nang medyong vacancy because permanent na, hopefully, if corrected. So that will be one of, again, I think the department order that is being conceived by the department is done through consultation because that concern should also be addressed. Yes, the bureau of the department handling that is the Bureau of Local Employment, and I think they are very much concerned. And of course, there is a K-12, the concerns on employment. I would just like to affirm the Endo actually applies to a bilateral relationship, meaning hired directly by the company, but they are practicing 555. Now we have a very good improvement on that because most of the companies already pledged not to engage into Endo. And of course, the contractors who are again practicing Endo again pledges to us na they will not engage into 555. But of course, upon termination of the service agreement, then it would be their option. Now, as I've said, the security of tenure is available for all contractual workers so that if there are complaints, then they have to go to our office so that we will be able to help them. Now, the employment problem, I think the department is now also coming up with some programs so that this will be part of the solution.
My last question is this Endo is only applicable on hotel management and other companies? How about the sector on construction?
Yes. Construction actually, Jerome, is a permitted contracting and subcontracting arrangement. And this kind of industry is what we call project-based employment. Project-based, meaning if a carpenter, if a mason is being hired, the scope of work or the period of employment will be the scope of work requirement. So meaning if the duration of the project is for 1 year, but your services is only needed for 2 months or 6 months, then after 6 months, your employment will be terminated. There is no security of tenure, meaning you are not entitled to a payment of separation pay. Now, there are construction for a period of 2 years. Again, in the case of the construction industry, after the end of the project has been completed, all workers except those, of course, regular workers, all project-based workers will be terminated and they are not entitled to payment of separation pay as provided by law. So these are allowed contracting and subcontracting arrangement, and then these project-based workers under the construction are not generally entitled to payment of separation pay.
Well, what happens to those people, like say in the media, the newspaper, the correspondents, how are they paid? Are they paid per article or on a monthly basis? Now, they're contracted, the correspondents. Are you contracted or are you on a permanent payroll? How you get separation pay? If, let's say, I don't like your face, you're separated. No. I want to know from the newspaper industry, I mean the people that matter in this proceeding. How are you guys done? Are you on a contractual basis, regular basis, or per article basis?
Job for correspondence, because they will only be paid on every news item that will be published.
Yes, and under this kind of industry.
Do you have any,
Yes, in this kind of industry, there are two kinds of employment engagement. If the media person is being supervised and controlled by the editor, then there is employer-employee relationship. And because there are some media person who are not supervised, who are not being controlled, directed by the editor, then this kind of arrangement, there is no employer-employee relationship, because again, the control and supervision is the most important element in determining employer-employee relationship. So there can be a case of yes, as said by earlier, that they're only paid by the article.
But there is an editor-in-chief who determines whether your article goes in or goes out.
Yes, that will be a no, the prerogative of the editor, as far as quality is of your work is concerned, then that, of course, that will be on the management. What we are telling you about control and supervision is on how you perform your work. If it is not supervised, if it is not controlled, then the management can say that there is no employer-employee relationship because of that absence of that fourth element.
Wow.
Well, okay.
I mean, at one time I was working for ABS-CBN.
You were?
I was producing shows. Those were before the hotel industry. Anyway, I was on a talent. I mean, I had a payroll. We were on a payroll, and then for every show we did, we were paid extra. But we are not employees of ABS-CBN. We were talents. We were classified as talents. I think that's very common here, even in KBS or ABS or GMA. I don't know which. Any more questions for that matter from our bloggers, online bloggers? Do you have anything that you'd like to clarify?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I would just like to ask, how about freelancers or those employees who did not sign contracts with companies? How can they be protected with this particular law? And then, is Endo applied to all companies or only big companies, and not on those small businesses or small-scale businesses or small companies?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. As far as freelancing is concerned, as I have said, if control and supervision is established, then there is employer-employee relationship. Of course, you'll be protected by law, because in freelancing, of course, you are given your compensation, and there is a security of tenure, meaning after 6 months you continue employment, then you cannot just be terminated, and you are entitled to a 13th month pay. Freelancing, they are considered field workers. So the benefit which you can avail of is, of course, the 13th month pay only, no overtime, because your time is not being supervised. But there are cases when freelancers are unsupervised, meaning you find your news, then there is no requirement for time to enter the premises of your work, employment, no time to report. So there is no employer-employee relationship for that matter. Now, in the case of Endo, Endo applies to everybody, large, small, micro, medium establishment. Meaning, when you reach, when you are able to serve more than 6 months and 1 day, your security of tenure is now protected. Meaning, you cannot just be terminated without cause, either authorized, there's retrenchment or redundancy, or there is violation of company policy, then you can be terminated with cause. 6 months and 1 day. The 6 months is the probationary period. After another 1 day,
It's
then
supposed to be either-
by operation of law, your security of tenure is now being protected, or in simpler term, you're now a regular worker of the company.
Here in the province, particularly in Cagayan, I noticed a lot of people join the government. What is the difference of a private sector employee versus the government?
Yes. I think the basic difference is that we only have to serve 5 days. The 6 days is no without pay. 5 days. Yeah, the basic difference, 5 days.
Okay, let's go back to your 5 days. How can we convince? And my owners will kill me for this. How can we convince? What is the difference if you work 6 days and 5 days? Why is it that we want to have balance of work life, that government people have? Why can't we in the private sector get it?
No, actually,
How can you help us change the scenario?
No, actually, the period of employment or service would depend on company policy, because we allow actually 5 days, the law allow 5 days working period, or in fact, hourly based. This is allowed, but of course we have to consider, the company has to consider, of course, running the business or not to be profitable. Then maybe that's why they require 6 months or 6 days. 6 days.
But in China, we're all 5 days. Even in Singapore, where the government dictate all of you 5 days, you have no choice. That's the difference. No. Kidding aside, I want to know why here in the province, a lot of people would rather go to the government sector than to join us. Join the private sector. What is the difference in terms of employment benefits that they see in the government sector that they will not find in our side? Other than you have a nice GSIS retirement plan higher than SSS, what else does? I have seen a lot of good students, but when I interview them, they would prefer to join the government. Yes, the government is the biggest employer, but how can we become competitive? Because sometimes you're getting quite a good number of bright boys and bright girls. So we want to get that too.
Shouldn't they be bright if they enter the government?
You want an
Just
answer?
kidding. Go ahead,
No.
sir.
Or you better answer it. Otherwise, I will tell you what my
I
answer
think
will be.
basically it's the security of tenure of the government workers. So no, if you become a regular, if you have a regular appointment, then your employer or your direct boss cannot just terminate you. Otherwise, civil service will be running after the bosses who terminates. That would be one, and of course the compensation. Now compensation of the government workers is very competitive, not like before, mga 20 or 30 years ago. The salary of the government work when I joined the court, 1988, I think, or 87, my salary was still 400 pesos. 400 pesos a month. No. So I think the compensation package is better, and there are many French benefits. December.
Like what? Bigas? I'm interested to know, why is it that every time I interview somebody from some good school here, there's a few good schools, and when I interview a guy, whoever I interview, I don't look at credentials. Grade is a grade, but what is more important is how you will blend with our system. Because I practice the law of the yin and the yang. If I have too many strong personnel in one department, sasabog yan. So I have a combination of the strong ones and the weak ones. So may harmony. They work for it together. Kasi pag lahat siya ang tatapang, wow, sasabog ang department. So this is my question. I've always noticed we have two beauty queens who joined us. And of course, the stress of working in a hotel, because we're into profit as against the government who can wiggle their toes and, you know, pretend to be busy. And so they decided to opt to go to the government. I mean, they went to the government. Actually, these government companies, I mean, this government, it's not even GOCC. It's a government institution. It's their client. They joined their clients now. So they're on their side. So we call on these beauty queens now. Because they say it's tenure. So when you say tenure, you said that earlier, tenure. You mean us in the private sector, we do not have tenure?
No, yes, that is precisely why the department that is present is to ensure the protection of the security of tenure of the workers. No, you know, in the private sector, there is a very strict policy. Lalo na pag you have a good compensation package, you can impose a very strict policy so that any violation of the policy can be a ground for either suspension or termination. In the government, of course, we also have a civil service law. But violation, of course, the enforcement, again, would not be, I would not say relaxed because I might be castigated by the civil service. The private sector decides automatically if there are some violations of the company. Of course, in the civil service, there has to be a process, and you are very protected by law.
I mean, also in the private, there is a process because otherwise, Dole runs after us if we terminate a staff without any notice. Sometimes Dole gets involved in areas that they should not get involved. You know, we had a case here. The guy was pocketing the money. At the end, I had a case with Dole because instigated by somebody from Dole downstairs. So, I mean, I had to prove to them, guys, we pocketed 25,000. Where will I find the 25,000? Ako nagkakaso. I really went head on. I said, sige. Now, wala siyang trabaho. No hotel gets you. So that's the way it is, you know. And sometimes I understand that the employers are sometimes funny also. But there are times people also in government are also instigating the all stuff. But that's not all. There's some bright ones and dumb ones there too. But nevertheless, I think this program that we've done about Endo will answer the questions of what's happening in the industry. And I look forward to a part 2 of this because this is an unfinished business up to now because there is no directive being brought about. Now, probably the next issue we will come about is invite the government sector here to also answer the difference between a person that's been hired by the government and a person that's been hired by the private sector. What is going to protect us in the private sector? Because you already said so, that the government employees are so protected. Now, we also want our protection as an employer and as an employee. Maybe the next episode that we're going to do for Endo will come about a realization what is really the directive. For now, let's keep our fingers crossed that we have another session when the tripartite issues tripartite is done so that issues will be resolved regarding Endo. Jam, anything more?
How are the employees, for those in their complaints, being aggravated by this certain rights with their employees and the companies? And first of all, we should also consider that they're small employees and they cannot afford high calibered lawyers compared to the company's lawyers. They can just turn around the situation. And how do we help them? Because I know they're very helpless. I've spoken to a lot of employees and they come to my station and they try to ask for help because indeed they're very helpless. Justice delayed is always justice denied. And how are the cases being passed through the labor code, through your labor section? How was the development? Is it fast? What is the response? Are they given the chance to fight for their right? How do you help them? And if you have a hotline, Do you have any hotline that they can call to help and ask for help if they needed some help?
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. No, the central office has actually set up a period for disposition of cases under the visitorial power, meaning the inspection, because we have another agency who handles other cases like illegal dismissal, like any license. Now, in our case in the regional office, we handle visitorial power or inspection cases. We are directed to dispose cases within 45 days. Within 45 days. Yeah, yes, the order or the directive, meaning from the first mandatory conference, we have to dispose of that, meaning we have to issue either closure or compliance order within 45 days from the first. Yeah, yes, that is. But of course, there are some cases wherein medyo it can be dragged because of the motions or because of the agreement of the parties to exhaust all venues for settlement. That is why it is being dragged. But
pag once na hindi sumipot, drag siya.
No. If the employer does not appear and he is being properly served, then the compliance order can be issued. Then we are a quasi-judicial body. We run through due process. But if there is a decision, we can enforce the decision of the director through a writ of execution, meaning mag-sheriff din kami. We have a sheriff. And we are, again, mandated by our central office to follow that period. And otherwise, we will be again castigated by or our performance will bring us down that delayed disposition. Now, we have hotlines actually, but I cannot memorize. Yes, right there. The hotline. We are now being bombarded with requests for assistance through this hotline, 0977-114-6526, and of course, for Smart, 0928-233-7806. Our labor law compliance officers are now very busy addressing these hotline calls, text messages, even without names, meaning anonymous. We address them. We send inspectors or compliance officers to verify or to issue inspection or notice of result if there are violations, and of course direct management to appear before our office to show proof of compliance. So thank you for.
Sir, we won't be sending a notice, but we will be testing the waters.
Okay.
So we will be we'll be entertaining cases that have been complained for the past few years. I will recall them and let us see how the response would be. So, but in this case, I would like to invite you to sit down on our TV program with RPN TV5 to furthermore discuss it. Hopefully, you could be there for the invitation so we can cascade the information, because this is really good news for all of the public to understand that we need to give the info clearly that they have a chance to fight, and the end of contractualization and giving them the opportunities of a better life is there through this mandate.
Yes, we will actually welcome media giving us information on who are the companies violating labor standards, Endo, so that we will be able to help the public also.
Oh, I guess.
John, you're very quiet.
Yeah, no, because this is your one of your topics that you would like to. You have so many questions.
Yes,
so,
it will benefit the whole industry.
Yeah, that's good. So, yeah, Dole, based on your experience, was assisting you. So that was good. It was a good job for.
Yeah, because I have a good line with connection with Dole. I am open and they're open for discussion. Every time I have a question, sometimes, where in the world do you get the Dole people to come to your hotel and discuss the issues with a PowerPoint? So this is the best opportunity. There are a few government offices here in Cagayan de Oro. I can go and walk in with no appointment and still get the things done, answered.
And Dole is one of them.
And Dole is one of them. That's my favorite institution, the Department of Labor and Employment. Let's change the name. Ministry of Manpower, just like in Singapore, right? We call in Singapore we call it Ministry of Manpower. It actually gives the license for you as a foreigner to work. It issues the visa as well. And hopefully Dole has these powers too.
Maybe in the future.
Yes,
For visa,
actually, for alien employment permit, actually, they have to go through Dole, get that permit.
And because everybody knows Dole for only complain, what does Dole do?
Yeah, we have many programs actually with Dole. Of course, one of that is the protection of.
Some people always have this notion, every time Dole comes in, patay, bayad ito. But I'm sure Dole has some better programs that we in the sector, not necessarily the private sector, but the public in general, even the graduates can take advantage.
Yes, that is only one program, major program, the protection of workers. But we also have employment facilitation. Yeah, yes, of course, we have.
What is employment facilitation?
Yeah, for the formal sector, actually. For the formal sector, meaning employer-employer, there is employer-employer relationship. Well, yeah, we have job fair, we have the special program for the employment of students, and others, emergency employment.
livelihood as well. Livelihood.
Yes, for the informal sector, we have actually we are one of the government who is being tasked to provide livelihood assistance to the unemployed or the informal sector.
I can go to you now. I'm unemployed.
No,
what program?
Our program is that this is open for the vulnerable sectors, meaning sectors who cannot send their children to school. There's problem on shelter, problem in clothing. So we provide additional income through livelihood, but they have to be organized. They have to be organized as an association, as a cooperative, at least 15 members. Then they come to our office and request for assistance.
Nobody knows your program like this. I mean, everybody thinks Dole is okay finding, but you know, there are some programs that will benefit the community, especially in Region 10. Maybe you should sound out.
This is actually a regular program, and we have actually an allocation of for now a 5 million per district allocation. So per district we have a 5 million allocation for livelihood, and some district the congressman will infuse by requesting DBM for another funding. So this can be used for any kind of livelihood that would augment their income, or through an emergency employment, requesting emergency employment, and they will be providing salaries for these people. So that is one program that makes us busy actually every year. Any
other programs that keeps you busy other than your Endo?
Yes, we process alien employment permits. So before a foreigner can work in the country or in the region, they have to get an employment permit with our office. So that would be one. Of course, we have another K-12, those affected teachers who are displaced. We have livelihood grants for them.
I just want to check with you, why is it that with the implementation of K-12, these teachers are getting affected when they should have been trained, knowing the fact that there's K-12 coming in?
I think the two-year gap right now, 2016, 17, and 18. Some of these I think college teachers, first year and second year, because they will be subject to this junior and senior high, are affected. So the department gives subsidy through a salary. The CHED also gives other assistance. So that is one of our program. For the 2-year period, I think this will be critical for those teachers who are engaged in the first year and second year tertiary, because they are the ones affected by this program. So we have assistance for this sector.
Any other programs you can think of?
Well, I think I think generally. Yes, we have Job Start. Yeah, Job Start. Yes, Job Start. We are copying the program of the Canada government, wherein there has to be a training, basically a bridging program for these new graduates, wherein they are trained by the industry, the company, And we are subsidizing salary. We give payment for the training. And of course, partnering with Luxe Hotel and other companies. Then hopefully these new graduates will be assimilated or will be hired by the company because of the training. This is now being expanded to other cities in the region. So hopefully this will be adopted because it is a good program, training actually program. Aside from probationary employment, you have to have a training activity so that the company will be ensured that they get the proper person. Now, during our consultation, one of the, I think, proposal of the management is to extend the probationary employment, which is a very good proposal, which was not suggested during our consultation. And
well, the only reason for that is we cannot really look at these job starters in a very short span of time because sometimes merong mga slow learn, hindi naman slow learner, but mahina ang pick up kaagad. And then yung hindi siya kaagad magpakita ng gilas. Now, of course, in our first year, we had some issues. Nag-no-show. Dumating, bumalis, comes and go anytime he wants. Of course, it doesn't work this way with me. That is a no-no. I will really you right away. So, I said, let's improve. So, we had a meeting here and I spoke to possible employers that, how we did it in our case, it's successful. It also helps people out of the street. Because one of the factors one of the projects I really am very hot on is out of school youth. I want to get them out of the street. Kasi once you get them out of the street, half the chance tapos na ang drug issue mo. But the minute they're in the streets, yan ang drug issue because you can see it. Now, hopefully, this second batch
it's starting.
na job start is going to improve. In other words, dati kasi, ilalagak lang sa hotel o bahala ka. Now, the department head who is taking in the staff has to train. May responsibilidad ka na. Unlike before, initsa lang yun, bahala na si Batman. But now, we make sure that the department head involved with the trainees have to work together. May train siya din, magkakaroon ng employment. Hindi yung pumunta dito, kumukuha lang ng alawan. Yun ang ayoko. So hopefully, those who signed up in this year's job start are gonna profit. I mean, make use of these people. In our hotel, I think we have 2 departments are getting the job starters. So hopefully, there's more of this because then we solve an issue of unemployment. Yes, they may not be paid as high. At least they have monies in their pocket. And that lessens the crime rate in the city. Once they're busy, they have no time to think. Kalokohan. They will work hard. Anything else? I hope you had a good time with us.
We actually appreciate this invitation. We are able now, many people are coming to our office asking for the endo and contracting and subcontracting arrangement. Through this venue, I think hopefully they know now what is the present condition of the policy. And again, I would like, in behalf of our regional director, we are saying that the department is giving all efforts to resolve this concern and hopefully will serve the interest of the public, not only the workers, of course, the management. That has always been the banner of the department. You have to help the industry, you have to help the company in order to help the people. That is now the policy of the department, not to put down the establishment at the caprice of the worker. You have to help the industry so that the workers will be benefited.
Yeah, so job starts is already starting right now, and hopefully there will be more establishments, private businesses too. It's actually a very good venue for out of school youth because we went there and we interviewed.
We had a meeting here, the Job Start, and the Job Start people asked me if I can do the talk. I said sure, I will sell what the jobs are, but I want to know who the employers. And I will ask them for commitment on the floor. How many can you get? Of course, I have this habit of putting people on the spot. So if you only tell me two, why only two? You know. But anyway, I hope that particular arrangement with Jumpstart people has helped a lot. And maybe it's only the second year of our Jumpstart program, and maybe in the next 2 more years, it's everybody's business now. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Jam, anything else? I'd like to thank.
I'd like to.
My wardrobe for my shirt.
I'd like to thank. So thank you so much for coming over. We have come to the last part of our Talakayan. We'd like to thank Dole Technical Director Ateneo Subasalio, sir, for being with us today and answering our questions. You're the hot seat, so thank you. And big thanks to Mr. Jerome de la Fuente for being a partner for this episode. And thank you as well to our media friends and bloggers who came here today and to our avid televiewers. And of course, we would like to extend our big thanks to Parasat Cable TV. In behalf of our Regional Director, Franklin P. Gumapon, this is Jam Rukat. Thank you for your consistent support in this Talakayan. Until the next episode, thank you and good day.